The early 70s was a magical period for Donny. Returning to the studio in the fall of 1970, he recorded a single that would become a perennial hit and ensure his legacy for generations.
This Christmas, and as we trim the tree, how much fun it's gonna be together.
This Christmas was written in 1967. I met Donny in 70. Donny heard me sing it a cappella, and he liked it. But it is his da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That's him. He arranged it, produced it, recorded it like a weaver, you know, at the loom. He just put it all together in his head.
The following April, Donny's next full-length record came out. This self-titled release was received well and made a particularly strong showing on the R&B charts, largely due to the anthemic hit, A Song for You.
I've been so many places in my life and time. I've sung a lot of songs. I've made some bad ones. I've acted out my life in stages.
In July, Donny and Eulalia celebrated the birth of their second daughter, Kenya. Then in 1972, Donny joined forces with Roberta Flack to record a series of duets.
Donny wrote 2 songs on her first album, so we knew Roberta.
Roberta was always very close to us. They always sounded tremendous. They really did.
Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway was a breakaway success, hitting number 3 on the pop charts and generating 3 hit singles, including Where Is the Love, which received a Grammy nomination.
Well, you think about music reflecting our times, and sometimes music changing our time, and you hear Blowing in the Wind, Aretha singing R.E.S.P.C.T., Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, and Donny Hathaway. The singers played a huge and powerful role in interpreting our times.
For Donny, opportunities flooded in, from arranging to producing to scoring feature films.
I was one of Donny's teachers. I taught in orchestration. There was a film over there called Come Back Charleston Brew that I had to pull out of, and they said you can't pull out unless you become musical supervisor and find the finest composer you know. And I got Donny.
I wrote a song called I Wouldn't Have It Any Other Way for Lena Horne. I'm one of the top arrangers. I said, oh, great, I get to arrange it for her. And he says, no, we've got somebody else we want to do it. And I said, well, who? It's my song. He said, this kid, Donny Hathaway, you'll like him. And I said, I know, Donny. Give it to him. It's wonderful.
But with Donny's success peaking, people close to him began to notice that something was unusual in his behavior.
We were watching television, and Donny clicked to a channel that didn't have any transmission and got those dots on the screen. Donny thought it was very interesting that those dots were doing what they were doing.
In 1971, I began to see some, I guess I can call them spotted behaviors. And at that point, I called his manager, and he said, yeah, we saw something wasn't right. I said, well, what did you do? Well, we were watching him. I said, thanks a lot. I got to do a little more than watch. I started to seek help to see if, in fact, there was something wrong, and in fact, there was something wrong. He was diagnosed as a paranoid schizophrenic.
Paranoid schizophrenia is a brain disease that can trigger delusions and hallucinations. Feeling persecuted and hearing voices are typical symptoms, as are confusion, anger, and anxiety. To make matters worse, treatments in those days were primitive at best.
Back then, I think he had about 14 pills 2 or 3 times a day. He began to feel better, and they always try and ditch the medication. If there's not someone around who knows something about that illness, they're in real danger.
I have a symphony entitled Life. I wrote it January 1st, 1972, and it deals with the different aspects of life, you know, the good, the bad, the positive, the negative, the dull, the exciting, you know, the whole thing, the tension, the calm.
In 1973, scandal decimated the White House while an energy crisis ravaged the economy. Perhaps weary from a generation of turmoil, the public embraced the soothing balladry of Donny Hathaway and Roberta Flack. But among R&B fans, Donny's elegant solo works, such as Someday We'll All Be Free, were becoming classics in their own right.
Keep on walking tall, hold your head up high, lay your dreams right up to the sky.
Man, Donny was just getting ready to what they call explode, you know, like blow up, you know.
The Donny Hathaway fan was the everyday black man and woman struggling to pay their rent or their mortgage, put their kids through school, keep a job, fall in love, fall out of love, everybody. He connected with everybody across the board. He was a young man. We didn't know much about him personally. We just knew that we loved his music and his songs because they made us feel good.
But Donny's diagnosis as a paranoid schizophrenic cast a shadow over his blossoming career. This information was scarcely known even among friends. But as his symptoms worsened, Donny's problems became harder to ignore.
He was talking out of his head. One time we were out eating, and he looked at a young lady over the next table, and he told her that she needed to go home and take care of her kids and stuff like that. He didn't even know the woman.
One of the things the psychiatrist mentioned was that he felt that Donny felt that Layla could see through him. If in fact that's what he thinks, it's more serious perhaps than you had thought.
I understand that he had schizophrenia, right? Yeah, I didn't know that at the time, but I loved him. We were always together. We'd come by and hang out and talk.
A paranoid schizophrenic may go through periods of normalcy with few symptoms, followed by periods where the symptoms are acute. In 1973, Donny was functional enough to release his third solo record, Extension of a Man, which stalled on the pop charts at 69, a disappointment after the previous success. Donny also tried to continue touring.
I saw in him when I was in Boston. Donny had a different relationship with me than he had with anybody else. And everybody's saying Donny's back, he's crazy, you know, he lost his mind. I go back to Donny sitting down and he's already about 30 minutes late. And I say, hey man, when the he's gonna go on stage? I said, I'm up here to check you out and I don't want no playing here tonight. I want to hear some Get Down. I brought some people there with me. And he came out and played one of the best sets I ever heard him play in my life.